Can the Philippines rise to become Asia's next superpower? Could it really happen? And does the Philippines have a solid plan to make it happen? Well, let's dive in. Some might doubt the idea, pointing to economic, military, or technological hurdles. But here's the thing. If we take a step back and look at history, every superpower we know today once faced similar obstacles. Despite those challenges, they rose to power. The Philippines is no different. Sure, it's not quite there yet, but it's definitely heading in that direction. The signs are there, and it's worth asking, what if the Philippines could become the next big force in Asia? Now, some people might be skeptical, thinking, not in a million years. But before you write it off, think about this. Singapore was once in a far tougher spot. It had its share of economic struggles and political uncertainty, yet today it's one of the wealthiest nations in the world. If Singapore could do it, why not the Philippines? And don't forget, the Philippines was once known as the Tiger of Asia. So, could we see the comeback of this once formidable nation? Let's find out. To begin, let me give you a few more examples to illustrate why the Philippines has a real shot at becoming Asia's next superpower. Back in 1869, America was still healing from the scars of a brutal civil war. Fast forward just 100 years to 1969, and not only had the US become a global powerhouse with immense wealth, but they were also the first to land astronauts on the moon. Look at Japan. In 1870, it was undergoing a massive transformation, shifting from a feudal society to a modern one. Even after enduring the devastation of World War II, including atomic bomb attacks, Japan rebuilt itself, and by 1970, it ranked as the third wealthiest country in the world. Germany's story is another example. It wasn't even unified as one country until 1871. Yet it grew into a global force. Despite being devastated after World War I and World War II, it managed to rise from the ashes and became the fourth richest country by 1970. And that was after being divided and eventually reunited. Then there's India. Once a British colony, India now stands as a nuclear power with the seventh largest economy in the world. Sure, challenges like poverty remain, but India's growth trajectory is undeniable. When you look at these countries and how they overcame huge obstacles, why shouldn't the Philippines aim just as high? Before World War II, the Philippines was the richest country in Southeast Asia, second only to Japan. Manila was often compared to European cities and even earned the nickname Paris of Asia. So, could the Philippines rise to superpower status? With a history like that, let's keep exploring. The Philippines once showcased an incredible level of development. Imagine a city with modern amenities, cutting-edge trams, and infrastructure that could easily rival America during that time. It didn't stop there. The Philippines was ahead of the game, launching the first airline in all of Asia and introducing Southeast Asia's very first LRT and MRT systems. Its progress was so remarkable that it even inspired neighboring countries. South Korea's president reportedly visited and modeled some of their highways and expressways after those in the Philippines. This clearly shows how, at one point, the Philippines was a wealthy and influential leader in its region. But before we dive deeper into the possibility of the Philippines becoming a superpower, let's break down what superpower actually means. A superpower is a country with the ability to influence the world on a massive scale. These nations have a combination of military might, economic strength, technological advancement, and political influence that allows them to shape international affairs and often hold sway over other countries. In simpler terms, it's a country that stands tall in its military, economy, technology, and politics, giving it the power to influence what happens globally. Right now, the United States and China dominate as the leading superpowers, with their influence stretching across continents. But looking back at the Philippines' history, particularly during the era of José Rizal, it's clear that the country was already one of the wealthiest societies in Asia. Thanks to its involvement in global trade, the Philippines was connected with the world, trading valuable materials and making strides in technological advancements. Even more interesting, in his writings, Manuel Quezon envisioned a future where the Philippines could become an imperialist force, with plans to annex regions like the East Indies or Malay Asia. Let's dive into the history and potential of the Philippines, a country that once led the charge in Southeast Asia alongside Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and Brunei. During Manuel Quezon's time, the Philippines kept pushing forward with its industrial revolution, especially by leveraging the vast American market as a US Commonwealth. This economic relationship was so significant that it stirred unrest among American farmers, who eventually lobbied for Filipino independence, hoping to rid themselves of competition from the colony. After World War II, the Philippines didn't just stop there. It remained a military and economic powerhouse in Asia. In 1968, Ferdinand Marcos even attempted to invade Malaysia, inspired by Manuel Quezon's book, Someday Malaysia. According to the World Bank, the country's economy saw significant growth from 1964 to 1982. During that period, the GDP surged from $5 billion to $37 billion. GDP per capita more than quadrupled, rising from $175 to $741, marking the highest point in the nation's history. Despite global challenges like high interest rates, economic recessions, and spikes in oil prices, the Philippines maintained an impressive 5.8% annual growth rate in GDP per capita. Marcos's Green Revolution also transformed the country, doubling rice production over 2 decades, turning the Philippines into a rice exporter for the first time in the 20th century. Fast forward to today, the Philippine economy is a mixed bag of both strengths and weaknesses. Let's break it down. Growth and development. The country has been steadily growing, with its economy expanding by around 6 to 7% per year before the pandemic, making it one of the fastest growing in Southeast Asia. However, recent global and local challenges have slowed things down a bit. A diverse economy. The Philippines' economy is made up of various sectors like manufacturing, services, agriculture, and tourism. The service industry, particularly call centers, remittances from Filipinos working abroad, and tourism, plays a major role in creating jobs and boosting the economy. But despite these gains, there are still significant challenges. The government recognizes that solid infrastructure is key to sustaining and improving economic growth. That's why they've launched massive initiatives like the Build program to improve infrastructure all across the nation. These infrastructure projects are designed to create jobs, boost cash flow, and attract long-term investments. The Philippines is still seeing steady foreign investments, especially in areas like real estate and infrastructure. To encourage more business, the government is working hard to make things easier for investors by tweaking policies and offering incentives to those willing to invest. The country is also getting involved in more international trade deals, which opens up even more opportunities. Overall, while the Philippines has made solid progress, there are still hurdles to overcome to stay competitive on the global stage. The road to becoming a major player, or even a superpower in Asia, is no easy task. It's going to take effort in multiple areas. For starters, the Philippines needs to keep its economy on a steady growth path. That means investing heavily in education, building a skilled workforce, improving infrastructure, and embracing new technologies to stay competitive and attract more investors. Political stability is another key factor. When a country is run with fairness, transparency, and honesty, it reassures businesses that their investments are secure. This not only boosts confidence, but also draws in more international funds. Then there's infrastructure. Strong infrastructure is critical for businesses and investors. That's why the Philippine government is making major investments in this area right now. But here's the big question. Is the Philippines moving closer to becoming a leading force in Asia? To answer that, let's look ahead. Experts predict that by 2040, the Philippines could have one of the largest agricultural research systems in Asia, which would be a massive leap forward for the country's growth. The Philippine Space Agency is committed to driving the country's space program forward, aiming to launch its second satellite by 2040, with an ambitious goal of landing it on Mars. The country's economic focus is also shifting, moving away from its reliance on agriculture to services and manufacturing. Since 2010, the Philippines has seen steady growth, averaging around 6% annually. By 2040, the Philippines is expected to be part of the Tiger Cub economy, standing alongside Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand. Though agriculture has been a major part of the economy, the country is steadily becoming more industrialized. Agriculture will still play a significant role. By 2040, about 35% of the Filipino workforce will still be in agriculture, contributing 9.5% to the economy. This sector will cover everything from small family farms to large-scale commercial operations focused on exporting goods. The Philippines is predicted to become the third largest producer of coconuts globally and the leading exporter of coconut products. It's also set to become the largest pineapple producer in the world. When it comes to rice, the Philippines is on track to become the top global producer, accounting for 4% of the world's rice output. Additionally, it's expected to become the largest sugar producer, with 17 provinces already cultivating sugarcane and 25 more projected to join by 2040. On the industrial side, the automotive and aerospace sectors are showing significant promise. The Philippines produces ABS plastic, used by major car brands like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Volvo. By 2040, it's estimated that car sales in the country will hit 1 million units, with even more global car brands entering the market. In electronics, the Texas Instruments plant in Baguio has been a global leader in producing DSP chips for over 2 decades. By 2040, it's projected that the plant will produce all the chips for Nokia phones and 90% of the chips used in cell phones worldwide. With these advancements in agriculture, manufacturing, and technology, the Philippines is positioning itself to be a major player in the global economy by 2040. Mining and extraction. The Philippines is rich in natural resources, particularly in minerals and geothermal energy. By 2040, it's set to produce 3,000 megawatts of electricity from geothermal sources alone, a huge leap towards clean energy. On top of that, newly discovered natural gas reserves in the Visayas Islands will be tapped for even more power generation. When it comes to minerals, the country is sitting on a treasure trove of gold, nickel, copper, and palladium. In fact, by 2040, the Philippines is projected to be the largest source of these minerals globally. Exports are expected to hit a staggering $8 billion, and the Philippines is aiming to be the top producer of nickel and the second largest producer of cobalt. Shipbuilding and repair. The Philippines is already a key player in the shipbuilding industry, with 118 registered shipyards as of 2021. But by 2040, the country is set to become the second largest shipbuilder in the world. With an expanding fleet and booming ship repair services, this industry is a major economic driver. Tourism. Tourism is a vital part of the Philippine economy. By 2024, the travel and tourism industry will contribute around 10% to the country's GDP. Coastal tourism, including beach vacations and diving experiences, will make up 25% of tourism revenue. Hotspots like Boracay, Palawan, Cebu, and Siargao continue to draw millions of visitors every year. Looking ahead to 2040, the Philippines is expected to become the second most popular tourist destination worldwide, attracting a whopping 15 million tourists annually. Its natural beauty, rich culture, and warm hospitality will continue to make it a top choice for travelers. Philippine military. The Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, is comprised of 3 branches: the Air Force, the Army, and the Navy. By 2040, the country will have a total military manpower of 70 million, with around 1 million active personnel. This will rank the Philippines 15th out of 140 countries in military strength. Development in the South China Sea. By 2040, the Philippines and Vietnam will have reached a significant agreement to jointly develop oil resources in the South China Sea. The Philippines is expected to sign 200 oil and gas exploration contracts with foreign companies, boosting its energy sector. Offshore exploration will ramp up, making the Philippines the second-largest oil reserve holder in the Asia-Pacific region. So, can the Philippines rise as a major superpower in Asia? Only time will tell. But with its wealth of natural resources, booming industries, and growing global influence, the future looks promising. Thank you for watching, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.